Hey you, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up? Hey, look who is back. Yeah, Don DeMarco is back, baby. Oh man, I miss my sounds. I miss my sounds. Hold on. Can I get one more, please? Can I get one more, please? I just got me a fresh new set of speakers, and yeah, the buildings all around me are crashing. I feel like I'm in a Batman movie with the Joker because ain't nothing but destruction and chaos all around me, and I'm kind of just dancing in the rain and enjoying every single minute of it. Screw it. The enemy been messing with me heavy and heavy. Let me tell y'all real quick, man, before we get into this live stream, man. Shout out to T Sarah Gade, man. I appreciate y'all for pulling up. I got Wicked Low, Jason in the building. Salutes to them. Look, man. So I say maybe Saturday. I had just finished wrapping up a reaction video, right? It was in regards to the Kendrick Lamar Drake thing, and I went to schedule it later so it'll come on. I think Monday, and then when I went to my studio, I found out that these bastards removed my monetization. Right, so I go into the options to try to get this figured out. I'm trying to get my account attached. Mind you, everything was running smooth for roughly a good month. Now all of a sudden, I got all these issues that I got to get worked out with them in order for them to verify all of this extra stuff. I just say all that to say, like, I feel in scenarios like this, anytime you are trying to do something productive, crap is always just thrown at you. And instead of me, going off on a tangent, I just kind of laughed about it. Like, all right, it's a minor little setback. It's not that big of a deal. You know what I'm saying? I'll figure it out at some point. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But we here, we live, we breathing, we healthy. I hope everybody is healthy. You know what I'm saying? We got a good one tonight. I want to give a shout out to my writers, my content creators, so on and so forth. I'm looking forward to Friday's virtual open mic. Pull up if you are available to hang out with us. It's always a good time. If you haven't caught any of them from the last couple weeks, I highly suggest that you go back, spin the block, relax, and enjoy yourself, man. Some amazing artists, man. Mike Mystic, uh, my girl K pulled up. It was a number of people, man, and Sarah's going to be returning this week. I'm looking forward to it, and we got a new face this week pulling up. This brother, I don't know too much about, but we're gonna get to the bottom of it. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I just love the sound of that, man. I do. I can't hold you. Greg, what's up, brother? What's up, brother? Tuesday. Um, Consequences of ignorance. That's the topic for tonight. I have my returning panelist up here, Wicked Low. Just did an interview with him on Monday. Jason Matthews, the man to meet, the man to have the conversations with, the man to get your words of wisdom from if you ever need them. We are the assembly. I'm ready for this. Let me go ahead and bring them up, man, so we can jump into this conversation real quick. Shout out to everybody. Do me a favor, man. Hit that thumbs up. Trigger that algorithm for your boys so we can get more eyes on this. Not just any eyes, but the right ones, the ones that need to see this. You know what I'm saying? We need to push this out there more and more and more until we get their attention. We need to get their attention, you know? So, that being said, Low, Jason, what up? What up? What up? What up?
What it do, man. So good.
Good evening, everyone. Wicked Low, Deep Entropy. Love seeing you both.
I love the sound of that speaker voice, man. I told I had to get some stuff replaced, man, because like the joints was cutting in and out every time I was trying to do my thing, and it was just frustrating. So, happy to see y'all guys, man. Again, how's everybody feeling? How is the week going so far for you?
Well, for me, the week is going pretty well. Um, yeah, I really can't complain. Although this weekend, I did go to for the first time and the last. I went to a new barbershop because I thought that they'd be able to give me a good haircut, and that's why I said it's the last time I'm going to that barbershop. So I'll be looking for somewhere else to be doing my hair from now on. Other than that, things are looking up. Things are great. I am making some great partnerships, moving forward with some great material. My nice guy, my nice guy syndrome course is almost done, and I'll be pushing that up pretty soon. What's up, everyone?
That's what, that's what's up. That's what's up. Make sure I get these chats up in here, man. Go ahead, Lo. You got it.
Yes, sir, man. Definitely blessed. You dig what I'm saying? Definitely blessed. You dig what I'm saying? Everything is everything. Everything is everything.
That's what I like. That's what I like to hear, man. Always good to hear people in good spirits and things of that nature. Uh, we talk about a lot of things up here, right? I mean, we've pretty much covered so much. It is amazing how much time has gone by in the last few months. I mean, really think about just in the last 2 months. We've talked about narcissism. We've talked about um, spiritual currency. We've talked about the feminine and masculine role. I mean, we've pretty much dug deep into a lot of these subjects, and I don't know why, but to be honest with you, I don't know if it's because of me just reflecting on the type of things that I've been around most of my life, or something that's kind of knocked me over my proverbial head. Like, but we talk about all this stuff except for the ramifications behind your lack of understanding. I wanted to say ignorance, but a lot of it is really lack of understanding. And I think that's on Saturday, I believe we went into a like I would say a part two, a prelude from the conversation we had, Jason, about the friend zone thing that we was talking about going into again at some point. We kind of touched on it some because of like the comments and things that I was getting made me say, you know, all right, consequences of ignorance. What does that mean? Where does it come from? Who does it start with? Why is it so important to recognize it, acknowledge it, and deal with it instead of ignoring it and pretending like, you know, it is just the know all be all to everything that we know to be good in the world? I don't even know where to start. So I'm gonna turn it over to Lo, and then I'm gonna give it to you, Jason. I want to hear this brother kick us off real quick. Y'all let me know how y'all feel too in the comment section too. I'm reading every single thing.
What up? What up? What up? All right. So consequences of ignorance, huh? That's what we doing, huh? You know what we doing, huh? So I mean, pretty much it starts with you. It starts with whatever your whether it's lack of understanding, because there is such thing as both. Ignorance is bliss, you dig? So um yeah, it really depends on the person. So it starts with you. You know what I'm saying? With your you know the consequences of your ignorance or what you went through, pretty much. Like when you was going through the ignorant phase, what was the consequences of it? So I feel it starts with you. I mean, that's what it all boils down to, really.
So when I think about the consequence of ignorance, there are four words that come to mind: f around and find out. And usually that's what happens when you are going into something and you don't know what's going on. And if you just if you don't if you fail to plan, you plan if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And a lot of ignorance is just the lack of preparation, the lack of insight into what needs to happen next. It's a lack of awareness, and the lack of awareness is what creates stupid decisions. And I use the word stupid purposely because to be stupid is to be unaware and unlearned. And it's when you gain awareness and you are able to educate yourself or be educated by someone else, you stop being stupid. And it's just the idea that if you don't learn from your mistakes, if you refuse to do anything different, that's called willful ignorance. And well, there's only one place for people who are willfully ignorant, and that is at the mercy of whatever consequence that happens to them. They have decided that they do not want to better themselves. They would rather continue to suffer the consequences of their ignorance, which is what makes it willful. And it is the worst kind of ignorance, I think. But for those who are just unprepared, not insightful, unaware of what the consequences could be, moving forward without the desire to understand before you act, yeah, it's just that's the kind of thing where yeah, you f around, you find out.
One thing I like to point out too, between the two that you just dropped on us, with willful ignorance, a part of me believes, you know, like you've literally are in your mind contemplating and weighing out if this is worth dealing with versus I need to go ahead and take heed and just completely go the alternate route. You'd rather take a chance on getting scuffed or coming out with some scars and some bruises just for some type of euphoria. You pretty much have an idea of what you're doing, and you've probably been told, like, if you do this, this is going to happen, or you read about it, but you still want to brush past the information that was fed to you, because the information that is given to you is contrary to the feeling that you get from engaging in what you truly desire. With the other one that you said, either way, whether or not you're willing or you're kind of just like whatever, it doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on, you're still going to have to deal with the results of your choice. One of the things that I always look at when a person decides to say certain things out of their mouth that might not be very flattering, or it might not really bring too much to the table in a respectful or intellectual way, I ask myself, do they really care about what comes from this? Are they embracing the dark side of the decision and the choice that they make because of what's been presented to them? A lot of people truly know without knowing that what they're doing is going to bring them some real chaotic results. I don't know. It's just it's super odd to me, especially if you're an adult and you're still moving right. Like, you're 30, 40 years old and you're still acting like that. But I'll concede.
For real, bro. Like, honestly, I believe, like, even taking self, because I'm more about knowledge of self. So even taking self in consideration, well, anything that I even myself, I knew what I was getting into, what was the consequences, and still did it. So a lot of times we know what the consequences are, and we still do it. You dig what I'm saying? Like, people know, they ain't stupid. You know what I mean? And that's not a shot, Jason. It's not a shot you, bro. It's just like, it's just what I'm saying. It's just people ain't dumb. You know what I mean? Like, they know what they get into. They know the consequences. If you do this, this gonna happen. It's like common sense. Like, that's how I feel. I don't really, you know what I mean? Like, people know what they're doing. People know what they're doing. They're not kids, unless they're kids or children. But even at a certain age, you still know what you're doing. You going what's the consequences of touching that hot stove? You're gonna get burnt, right? All right, like Jason said, fuck around and find out. You did what I'm saying? So, yeah, you may not know the severity, but you pretty much know. You know what I mean? Like I said, even for myself, when I was young, growing up, I knew what I was getting to. You know what I mean? A lot of my people, we knew what we was getting to. This is gonna happen. This is a possibility. This is what it is. But we still gonna do it. So people know, and then you got to deal with the outcome, pretty much.
I love that comment that Sarah gave. Come to the dark side. We got cookies. I've used that before.
Facts, Sarah, facts.
Yeah, that was a good one. I agree with you, Wicked. for the most part, we do know what the consequences are, but I think there's a part of us that hopes that we can somehow get around or get away with something without having to suffer those consequences. And I think that's one of the reasons why we do what we do, why we act stupid. Because even though we know, we're holding out hope that maybe, just maybe, it won't apply to us, even though it applies to, well, everyone. And there is something special about ignorance, not willful ignorance, but just plain old down to earth, homegrown ignorance. And the fact that you may not be aware, and this is why I made sure to use the word awareness, not knowledge, but awareness, because you can know what the consequences of something are already. But if you have justified your actions, and if you've deceived yourself in just a way that makes you believe that what you're doing is right, then there comes this belief that you won't suffer any consequences because what you're doing is good. There's no reason for consequences because your actions are beyond what it would be needed for the consequence. And that is the kind of ignorance that I'm referring to. The lack of awareness, the lack of insight that, this applies to everyone and I'm part of everyone, so it's going to apply to me. So if I do this, there's no getting out of this. Well, not only that, Sarah, not just working over studying, but believing that they can party and still get the studying they need. That if they just skim the book, even though they haven't cracked it open since the beginning of the semester, that they'll somehow be blessed with divine knowledge, that they will be able to overcome the treachery of that midterm, even though they've done nothing to prepare for it. That they're hoping, and as I've said many times to many of my clients, hope is not a strategy. But people still cling to that shit like it's no tomorrow, and it's one of those things that I smile because it's like, okay, you will learn one way or the other. You will learn. It's not if, it's a matter of when. And when you look at it as a degree of awareness rather than a degree of knowledge, like you said, Wicked, they know what's right and wrong. They know what the actions, what the consequences are going to be. If I do this, then that's going to happen. But it's that self-deception. It's that belief that somehow they are exempt from the normal rules that bind everyone, and they can somehow do something more than the average person, even though they themselves are part of that average.
Greg Kelly. It's like someone who has a threshold for pain. I hear you. Like it's a fetish. I don't know where that comes from. Maybe that should be up for discussion at some point too. Like, and I hate that word. I promise I'm trying not to say that so much. But what prompts a person to use pain as a form of an aphrodisiac, if that's the right way to add that in there? Another thing you said here too, I want to cover as well, bought wisdom. I don't know what it is about that part that stuck out to me. Because when you say it, it sounds almost as if the person or party involved is absorbing all of their information from another source without gathering it on their own. I could be wrong about that, But those are two that I'm actually about to jot those down. Sarah said, I went to college for 2 years, dropped out, didn't know what I was doing, joined the military, got out. Now they're paying for my school while I get a little retirement. Hey, hey, whatever works. Going back to the college post that you made about them rather partying and things like that. Look, man, I ain't gonna hold you. College was not on my radar at all. Cause for me, you're being used. You spending thousands of dollars on the possibility of getting into the field of work that you might not end up getting in once you finish all of these courses, but you end up in debt in all of these other areas to pursue a piece of paper that says you're good at, when you can just go on Google or wherever and learn all of this stuff yourself. But that's just me. I digress. I'll concede the mic.
I mean, college ain't for everybody. You know what I mean? Some people can do it and make it work for them, and some can't. You know what I'm saying? It all depends on if you do the research on what you want to do. If it's something that you really want to do, you can make it work. Sometimes, like I said, it's just not for everybody. It wasn't for me. I tried a little bit and make it start off. Um, you know, I didn't get that far to where I had debt and all that, but college ain't for everybody. And as far as what was that? You said wisdom, and what else was it, Mel? You hear me? You are muted, my brother. Muted.
One, one of them was Freak for Pain and uh Freak for Pain and Bought Wisdom.
You said booked wisdom or brought wisdom?
Bought.
Bought as
Oh,
in
brought.
purchased. Yeah.
You really can't buy wisdom. I mean, you can like wisdom. All right, so I can explain. All right, so as far as let's start from the free for pain. As far as the being a free for pain, it's a lot of ways you can look at that. You know what I mean? Um, some of us go through certain things, and pain is like it's kind of like a reliever in a way. You know what I mean? Um, speaking for experience is like pain. I mean, that's sorry, like an escape. It's kind of like it's hard to explain it really. As far as like that exotic stuff, I don't know because I was never into that. You know what I mean? People, I ever heard people talk about it. Oh yeah, this and like nah. Ain't gonna be no like no, we're not doing that. And as far as wisdom goes, you really can't. As far as I say, you really can't buy wisdom. Like you can go, and what I deal with, you can only obtain wisdom by having understanding. You can only obtain understanding by having knowledge. You can only obtain knowledge by doing the research and the footwork and having the will to achieve it. So that's just what I deal with in the culture of being a 5%. So um, being Islamic. So this is the way that we go about the way we look at things, the way we word things, and things that nature. So wisdom, knowledge, understanding. You know what I mean? Sorry, knowledge, understanding, wisdom, understanding. You can't have one without the other, really. So unless you actually sit there and do the research behind it, you really can't have wisdom without it. So it's like you can't buy wisdom. You know what I'm saying? Wisdom, actually, you have to be able to understand something, whatever you're trying to have wisdom about, to you know what I mean, to even obtain that. Like obtaining wisdom is something that you gain over the years. Obtaining knowledge is something that you, understanding, understand things, something that you gain over the years, something that you like, you study these things, like brother Jason in his studies, you know what I'm saying? If he didn't study those things, he wouldn't have the wisdom or the understanding behind it. You know what I mean? If he didn't do the research and have the knowledge about it to do what he do. So whatever you can't really you can't buy wisdom. Like, you know what I mean? You just listen to what somebody tells you and just go on what they tell you. That's being more of a sheep, not anything else. You don't know if it's telling you the truth or not.
So Greg did give a clarifier where he said what he meant was wisdom that comes to you with a price that you weren't really willing to pay. And to me, that goes back to pain. That goes back to the pain of experience. And Wicked, I think this is what you were referring to, because you can have all the knowledge in the world. Knowledge is not power. Knowing how to apply knowledge is power. Because by knowing how to apply it, that comes from experience. And that experience is what creates wisdom. And only when you've been willing to go through life and experience something, and something that was painful. Some people like to do things the hard way, and they enjoy the experience, the personal experience of what they go through in order to learn life. I didn't know it at first, but apparently I'm one of those people because I'm a very slow learner and I need to experience it myself. And it's one of those things where if I can't experience it, I can't appreciate it. I know it sounds weird, but it's one of those things when people tell me, well, this is what's going to happen. Oh, really? Let me be sure. Because yeah, like I said, I'm a slow learner. But in all seriousness, the people who learn best from experience, those are the people that are going to understand the lessons much deeper. They're going to have more to share to others because it's going to be based on that experience rather than just based on book learning. And by giving yourself over to that experience, allowing yourself to experience that pain, that's a gift. I have often said that trauma is the greatest gift that we could have given ourselves because it forces us to have to grow. You cannot stay the same when you endure a traumatic experience. You have to grow. And what a gift is it to be able to grow from that. If you stay the same, you continue to suffer. And when you grow, that's when you realize how resilient you are.
So I know we bouncing around a couple of different things. To respond first, congratulations. I know, Sarah, you've been taking some courses. I know you just got a B on one of your pieces. So salutes to you on that one. I know Greg just responded to his initial post earlier, where I guess he's clarifying that what he meant by it was wisdom that came to you with a price you weren't willing to pay. Which all for me, it goes back into consequences of ignorance. But that's just my take. Let me see if I can kind of format this the right way. Because the only way that you can accomplish, and I guess this is for Low too, because he made some good points too. The only way that I believe you can come across wisdom is through experience, through trial and error. A person like Jason or T or Greg or Sarah, they can explain to you, sit down with you for about an hour and talk to you about the pros and cons of this and that and the third, and give you examples of why this is good and why this is bad, and they could be spot on with it. But it doesn't give you the experience, the after, the in between, the feeling of what it is like to make the decision yourself and then have to endure or deal with what comes with whatever it is that is on the other side of your choice. That's what you don't get from a person who exceed you would have to do the research yourself. Um in terms of it being ignorant or just one of those things that you have to look at yourself like, well, I went into this believing I knew what it was that I was going to be dealing with. I thought I had all of the corners covered, but there were still missing pieces within this that I just did not grasp or comprehend. Now, is that being ignorant, or is it being unavailable to really truly understand what it is that you are about to embark on when you decide to be angry or be bitter or use pain as an outlet to punish yourself, like T said, for your inadequacies? I'll turn it over to Low.
Appreciate. I'm gonna actually go back to what Jason said because even from my own experience, that's pretty much how I learned and obtained the things that I did learn. Um, through those weeks, especially with with what he said, um, at a price you're not willing to pay. You're not. It's like how can I put this? We don't willingly give ourselves trauma. A lot of times, you know what I'm saying? You got some people who are sick and they're just, whatever. But a lot of times we're not willing. So things happen in life. We go through things and we experience these things and whatever traumatized for it, or whatever trauma that we did get from it. That's how a lot of us learn. With a lot of situations I've been through in life in general, you don't read about this in a book. You don't read about how to handle it in the book. People not really say to tell you how to deal with these things. You know what I'm saying? So um, it's not necessarily being ignorant about it or anything or consequences. I mean, that's part of it too. Like I said before, there were things that we've all been kids, we've all been young, and we've all done dumb things, and we got in trouble for it, and that was the consequences. But we learned from it. We got that knowledge from it. We got we gained that wisdom and understanding that that's not something we should do or do again. You know what I mean? As far as the trauma and everything, yeah. Like I said, I fully agree with what Jason said there. You know what I mean? That pretty much sums it up.
I think this is what really the consequence of ignorance is. The consequence of ignorance, when it's not willful, when you don't force yourself into situations where you're going to have the same result over and over and over again because there's something that you are getting from that, something called secondary gain. But when you just experience life and you are forced to grow, that is the consequence of trauma. The consequence of ignorance. The consequence of ignorance is growth, and that's a beautiful thing. You can call whatever you want, FAFO. You can say all kinds of different things. You can dress it up however you want. My father has a really funny saying that God must love stupid people because he made so many of them. And it's funny only because when you think about the fact that there are so many people that are in a state of ignorance, but they are growing, and especially the ones that are not willfully ignorant. The ones that are just ignorant are growing, and that's the consequence. The consequence of ignorance is growth.
Very true, very true, very true.
I got a question. Do you believe that envy and jealousy and all of the the main emotion triggers that most of us suffer from, are they stemmed from the lack of knowledge? I mean, just hear me out. Far too often, I hear people say, that's just who I am. If you don't like me for who I am, then bye. Or I would hear, and this one I love too. Uh, you got a problem with that? It could be a person in a position of power that just gets so consumed in having their finger constantly waving around that special red button that allows them to detonate at any given time. If you say the wrong thing, if you don't move as fast as they would like you to, or even just someone who kind of just looks at you and automatically judges and condemns you to a life of alienation, whatever. Do you look at that as a form of ignorance or lack of knowledge? I'll give my reason and my take and my answer to it, but I want to hear from somebody else.
Um, I don't know. I don't think that's due to ignorance as well. You know what I mean? To be honest, because I don't think that has lack of anything or lack of knowledge or anything. Because I mean, like jealousy and envy. You're jealous of a person or something. You have envy. You envy this about a person instead of what I'm saying. It's just it's kind of like they will or laziness in a way. Like when people are jealous, it's like okay, if you're jealous, go out there and get your own type of deal. You know what I'm saying? So it's really I don't think it's lack of knowledge or anything. A lot of times it's due to laziness. People don't want to get up. They rather hate on what I'm saying, or be jealous for the next man for how he for what he has, not knowing how far he worked or how hard he worked to get it, and as far as envy as well. So I mean, as far as I say, I don't see it as having lack of anything, just what people go through, and then that part as far as them sticking up for that. You know what I'm saying? Taking a stance on, oh yeah, I'm jealous, and so what? Basically, is like this. Okay, well, you're pretty much a lost cause. Like there's nothing else I can say to you, type of deal. So.
So Mel, you actually talk about two different things. When you talk about the different negative emotions that we face, like jealousy, anger, um, lustfulness, pride, these kinds of things, selfishness, greed, the list goes on and on and on. This is a form of self-serving behavior, And this can come from ignorance, but more than likely it comes from something deeper. It comes from an emotional need. And emotion has no intelligence. Emotion just is. It is a force all on its own. And the only thing that you can do is come to understand where that's coming from and use intelligence, use logic to understand it so that you can bring it into the light to really find out what it needs, why a person is acting the way they are. Something I keep on saying: people only do something when there is a reason to do so, even if that reason is false or imagined. This is true for every single person. So that's the first thing. When someone says, "Well, this is just who I am," if you don't like it, pound sand, or you got a problem with that, we're talking about their own behavior. This is an example. These are examples of willful ignorance. You can't fix stupid, and you just got to let people do what they're going to do. They have to be allowed to. All right, fine. You know, if that's who you are, great. You know, let me know how that works for you. But you can't fix stupid. All you can do is help someone gain the insight and awareness necessary to cure their own ignorance. But if they're not willing to do that, if they're willful, well, then you have as much success talking to a brick wall covered in concrete as you are getting through to someone who's willfully ignorant.
Oh, that's one of the big ones right there. It triggers a plethora of women all across America, all across the country. Emotions. You're too emotional. You're not emotional enough. You don't have emotional intelligence. Emotion. If we now that we can clarify or just come to this conclusion that just having emotions in itself is a entity in its own. How do we rank that in the human way of life? Rationality versus emotion. If we separate the two, can we say one is more important than the other? I know if I'm overly erratic because of the emotions invoked through the irritation that I feel due to someone's whatever it is, and I'll allow my feelings to supersede my logic. Does that make me ignorant? Because I went with my emotions and feelings. One who knows everything and has all of these degrees, and you've lived the street life or whatever. You got a catalog of information at your disposal, but you still can make irrational choices, and you can still be an asshole and still walk off the cliff. So it's almost like a double-edged sword, because whatever you decide to feed yourself, you become it. And if you're easily triggered emotionally, and we've talked about emotional intelligence, and you don't know how to process it, and you don't know how to really neutralize that moment that you are in, and then you find yourself on the other end of the spectrum, which might not really be that pleasant. I'll concede.
That's pretty much just being human, bro. I mean, to be honest, it has a lot to do with growth. As you grow, you should be able to separate the two, rationalizing whatever you have, whatever it is, and whatever's triggering you to have a specific emotion, whether it's anger, sadness, depression, whatever it is. Um, Being in a dark place. No, I don't even take it that far, but I will say, it's a lot to do with growth and things of that nature, man. Like you have to have that discernment about you to be able to grow, to let yourself grow, no matter what you're going through. And a part of growing and a part of being human is having those emotions, but being able to separate and what I'm saying, um, and separating that from being rationalizing or whatever. You know what I mean? So this is a lot of that is doing growth. People just gotta do to grow up, let themselves grow, go through what you're going through, understand what you're going through, learn from what you're going through, and try to do your best to keep those, as far as bad emotions, keep them at bay if you can. You know what I mean? Some people can't, but yeah.
So there's a quote that I love from Viktor Frankl. He wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning. He's one of the most popular psychologists that really created a really good system of understanding people and creating therapy. He's right up there with B.F. Skinner, Carl Rogers, and um, Carl Jung. And what he said was, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our freedom. In our response lies our growth. Sorry. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and freedom. And the stimulus response is emotion. That is the emotional circuit. When you have a stimulus and you react, you are reacting emotionally. Thing is, Mel, there's no way you can get rid of emotion, because we are emotional creatures who seek to understand and improve ourselves using logic. And every decision that we make is based on emotional need. But we use logic as a way to inform our emotions on what those needs are, what those needs really are, and how to better attend to those needs. So that space that we create is that intelligence. It is that logic. It is that reasoning capacity that we have. And we're the only creatures that have that. Every single mammal that exists on planet Earth is an emotional creature. They have stimulus and response. That's it. That's all they know. And I sound this way because of all the work that I've done on myself. Let me tell you that. But that's a topic for another discussion. The emotional response was there way before we were. And our reasoning capacity allows us to learn and to guide that emotional response to become more resourceful, more appropriate for the things that we want to achieve. There's no which one is better, which one serves us more. They both serve us. The trick is to learn how to become the master of both, so that they both serve us well and serve us equally in their um, in their potential ways.
Yeah. had to get my lighting right. Uh, Greg, let me say this because I've stared down the barrel of potential conversations with folks that I knew weren't going to go anywhere. It really just takes a couple of sentences to kind of gauge where it's going to go. You already know the person. You're already aware of how that outcome might turn. And if it's like a if there's a concern that needs to be handled, and you're not really certain about how to go about it, I would suggest speaking to someone who may be able to relay whatever it is you need to relay. You know, it is a slippery slope, like T said, because the fact of the matter is we shouldn't have to hide our truth or our thoughts or our views. If something is right or wrong, we should be able to express it without turning into golems over words. So I understand your hesitation, but if there's no change, I would definitely look into trying to find a way to have it handled without it being destructive as try to minimize whatever chaos comes from it as much as put anyone in harm's way either. Jason, you said a number of things I actually love and I agree with wholeheartedly, which was one of the reasons why I asked the question in the first place. Because you never really know what day you're going to be angry or you're going to be pissed off or whatever. But you're always inside of yourself. You're always talking to yourself mentally. You're always, analyzing and rationalizing and trying to determine what's the best course of action here. Should I walk this way? Should I walk that way? Should I just completely just come out and express myself fully how my personality would allow me to do it, or should I hold back some of it? Should I give this much or should I give that much? You're always, you know, in that mode. And one thing that I've noticed with the backlash that comes with people who move without cause or without any type of remorse, they just kind of just jump into it. It's like a uncontrollable fire. Once it catches on to something, it's hard to stop it. And I don't know if a lot of people take that into consideration. I'll turn the mic over.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, I'm about to, yeah. I mean, it's yeah. Pass it to you, Jason.
One thing I want to address is Sarah Gade's comment regarding emotionally thinking. Manage emotions and think rationally. Um, there's a difference between managing your emotions and suppressing them, or denying them. People who suppress or deny their emotions, yes, they suffer, and they're the ones who usually make the worst decisions because that emotion is going to come out. You cannot stop a fire hose when it is on full blast, and your emotions are like a fire hose. And it's one of those things where you are, if you try to bottle them up, it's only going to work for so long before they have to go somewhere. And in psychological terms, it's called emotional leakage. And that happens when you are trying to conduct yourself in a way and your emotions end up coming out in through your actions subconsciously. You aren't aware of them. And um, people who act in this way, yes, they are seen as very um, they aren't seen as normal or emotionally healthy, and given all kinds of names: sociopath, psychopath, narcissist, what have you. And all that it is, they are suppressing themselves because they feel like they need to. Managing your emotions is very different. Managing your emotions means you are able to effectively use your emotions in a way that is controlled, measured, and appropriate. And this is someone who's well adjusted. You know how to connect with others because you can connect with them. You can become emotionally vulnerable. You can learn to trust. At the same time, you understand that there are going to be limits to that. And you set those limits and you adhere to those limits. And you allow your logic to temper your emotional response. You're able to understand what the situation really is before you fly off the handle. And experience, you're able to understand that this isn't about me. This is just something that happened. And I have to be okay with the things happening because I cannot control anything other than my thoughts, my feelings, my beliefs, my decisions, and my actions. And by understanding that you can control those and allow other things to happen, you have a freedom that exists by effectively and positively managing your emotions. The management creates a much more um, pleasurable lifestyle, one that other people want to interact with you regarding, and one where you feel better about yourself because you have what every single human being is looking for: recognition, to be recognized, understood, respected, and valued. And when you have those things, you feel like you're on top of the world. And it's only through your ability to have those emotions under management, under the management of logic, not to suppress them, not to deny them, but to manage them appropriately.
There's a reason why people end up going to jail or getting suspended or end up with 80 kids and getting divorced within the year. And there's a lot of reasons why you stumble over a piece of stick, not paying attention to where you're walking, or you start walking up a flight of steps and you miss one. If I was to respond to every single ignorant post or remark that was made against me on this country's air, outside of prison walls, or I'd end up in a pine box. Your decisions or lack thereof, they bear consequences that may or may not affect you later on or immediately, but they might affect your family, one action can cost you either everything or just something small. One way or another, you getting into an argument over something stupid is stupid. You carrying this attitude to your workplace or in your relationship without healing yourself and doing the work on yourself, not knowing how to have a conversation without having the proper tools is a recipe for disaster to me. There's a lot of different things that I could go down the list on, but I think you get the gist of it. Two is five. Add everything up as five. If someone decided that they wanted to have sexual escapades outside of my relationship, and I decided that I was going to do the same thing, that's a big one. That's a huge argument. That one goes and will probably forever be a back and forth between the genders. He cheated on me, so I cheated on him back. But not only are you hurting yourself, but you might possibly be passing something on to the next person and the next person and the next person. So I don't know, man. I don't, and I'll turn it over to whoever wants it this time.
Yeah, bro. Oh man.
For every
For every action, yes, sir. For every action, there is a reaction. And again, as I said before, it's all really just pretty much growing and and learning how to deal with certain things. A lot of times you learn on your own. Sometimes people need that extra help. You know what I'm saying? They can seek that extra help to 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 learn from it or to get it under control. Um, but yeah, most definitely, bro. But listen, I gotta handle some business real quick, bro. I do appreciate you letting me on, man. Jason, I salute you. Uh, Mel, I salute you. Thank you so much for having me on here. Everybody in the comments, they're righteous. God bless you all. And yeah, sorry about I gotta go handle some business real quick, man.
See you next time. Okay.
Next one. See you on the next one. Peace.
So the whole idea of she cheated on me, so I'll cheat on her. That is an example of ignorance. And the consequences that come from that, well, you can guess what those are. But that is an example of an emotional reaction that leads to an ignorant decision. And the better way, there are much better ways to handle this. There are two that come to mind for me. And then once we discuss about this, we can wrap it up because I know that people are they're needing to get out, and I don't want to keep anybody too much longer than we need to. The idea that there are two possible other solutions. One is that you just break it off. You leave. You end the relationship. You see that this is happening. You can't trust them, and so you dissolve the partnership. The other one, which I find to be much more fulfilling and much more compassionate, is really to find out why that needed to happen in the first place. Why did my partner feel they need to step out of the relationship? What was it about this relationship? What is it about what she and I created together that was no longer enough? And it's hard to do that sometimes because it takes a lot of responsibility. You have to understand that you did something along with your partner to create the circumstances by which this happened. And I want to point out that I'm not saying that it was anybody's fault. It's never anybody's fault. People create circumstances because they take actions. And so the idea behind this is now to find out what was created. What was it that she did? What was it I did? How did we co-create this experience that created the need for her to make the decision that she did? And that kind of understanding will serve you so much more, certainly more than saying, well, she cheated, so I'm going to cheat. And definitely more than just breaking it off. When you break it off, you don't learn anything. All you do is you leave that circumstance. Who is to say it's not going to happen again? How do you know what happened to create that in the first place? You have no idea. You have no new data. And so the likelihood of you doing it again is high, or of creating the kind of situation again is high, because you have no idea what it was that created that circumstance. And I think that we have become a culture of hyper-reactionism. And we celebrate our hyper-reactionism, and it's ignorance. It is ignorance because we don't learn anything from our reactions. But our reactions are being rewarded, so of course, we're going to keep doing them. A bad behavior that is not punished becomes rewarded. Or, I'm sorry, a bad behavior that is not corrected becomes rewarded. So we're using emotional reactions, which is bad behavior, being rewarded for it, instead of saying, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. Again, not anyone's fault, but when you become aware of it, it is your responsibility to find out how you can change it. You're on mute, brother.
Perfect way to end this live stream, bro. Salute to you. Salute to the chat. Sarah, Anna, Greg, T, Low. Food for thought, folks. Hope you enjoyed the conversation tonight. As always, it's an honor and a pleasure to be able to sit and hang out with y'all, man. We'll be back tomorrow. Still cooking up for Friday. And you have any final words for the people before we close out?
Yeah, I'm just really glad that there's so much engagement on these topics. I'm really glad that people show up and they ask questions and they have something to share and they're willing to really put themselves out there and really get more clarity on what they might be thinking, or really share how they're feeling, to maybe get some understanding, or even just to be a part of the conversation. It helps to make it a lot more exciting. It helps it to make it a lot more enriching. So for you, Mel, and for everyone who attends in the comments, I appreciate the hell out of all of you.
Respectfully. Till we meet again, folks. You guys enjoy the rest of your week, man. Wednesday is right around the corner. This week is going by fast. It really is, and I'm not complaining one bit. I hope you find your barber, bro. And we'll see you on Thursday, my friend.
Yes, you will. Take care.
If y'all need to reach me, you know how. This is Assembly Excellence signing out, saying good night.